This is a bad house. I don't think there's much argument in that. This is not a good house. This is boring. This is plain. And I still see people build like this in Minecraft today. So here are 12 tips that will completely transform this house. First is to make the ceiling not 2 blocks high. Anything above 3 blocks, anything above 2 blocks is what you need. 2 blocks, it's just so tightly squeezed, it doesn't feel good. This feels much better. Next is your floor. Now you can't have your floor be the same block as your walls. You need to make it a different block, make it interesting. I personally love using stripped spruce logs or anything like that. But you can literally use anything as long as it's not your walls. Same with doors. You can't use oak doors if you have oak walls. I'd consider anything else fine, but choose the one that looks best for your build. Next, if you're gonna use windows, don't use glass blocks. Use glass panes. It gives your build an extra layer of depth. And I can't believe I have to tell people to use glass panes instead of glass blocks. It's cheaper too. Why are you using glass blocks? Next is the shape of your house. You can't have a completely square house. You have to break off into different blocks and different shapes. Mostly just like break off into different squares and it'll end up looking really good. I used to think you need to make it symmetrical, but you really don't. You just can do whatever you want, and most of the time it'll look really, really good. So I have a texture pack on that makes everything bright, but if you turn that texture pack off really quick, it's really dark. So here are some tips for lighting up your house. First is one of my favorite. You can use an item frame, stone slab, and torch, and it looks pretty good. Although you can't use invisible item frames because the stone slab is too close to the wall then. And it just doesn't end up looking very good. But it does look very good when you do it right. Okay, my walls are light, but the middle of my house is all dark. So you can use carpets and glowstone to make your house bright, and it actually ends up looking pretty good too if you know how to use carpet. But if you don't want to use carpet just for lighting, you can make it look really good by, instead of using carpet, use slabs, waterlogged slabs, and place coral on top of them, and it gives this fluffy vibe that the normal carpets do not give. Yeah. Next tip is for the roof. Now, you can't have a flat roof. You need to make different patterns out of stairs, slabs, and different blocks. When I'm using oak, I like to use cobblestone because that gives a nice contrast. But really, you can use whatever just looks good and make different patterns. And if your house is a little shorter, don't make very high roofs because that just will look weird. So if your house is a little shorter, like only 1 story, make a little shorter of a roof. Like I wasn't making a short roof in here, but yeah, just make like shorter patterns because that looks kind of weird. So at one point you can just like place slabs over it instead of having a really tall roof. Okay, I would say that this house is almost complete, except we need a couple more things. Number 1 is if you're living in a multiplayer world, you're gonna want a path going up to your house, or even in a single player world, you're gonna want a path. Because I think it just looks really good. So you're gonna want to use gravel, dirt paths, obviously, and basalt. Now, basalt is actually really good if you place it on its side for paths. And yeah, it just looks pretty good, so let's do that. And you kind of just have to mix it up, and yeah, it'll end up looking really good. Don't make all the blocks too close to each other though, because then it'll look kind of weird. But yeah, just mix it up and it'll look really good. Next, you're going to want to build a custom tree. Now, these can either go really good or really bad. Now, you're going to want roots sticking out at the bottom of the tree, but you're not going to want to make the roots too big like I did. But I'll fix it later. And you're also going to want to add branches sticking out the side. But yeah, slim down the roots. They do not have to be that big. But yeah, like I was saying, you need to have branches coming out so it looks more realistic. And this is just way better than placing a sapling and waiting for it to grow. Next tip is finally to add a swing. Now you can use trapdoors and moss carpets for this, and you can place it under some fences. And I'd say this looks pretty good. I mean, it's obviously not usable, but I mean, it's still pretty good. Still neat building trick. But we're done. Look at the comparison. Look how small this little house is. Look how bad it is. Look how good this is. This isn't perfect, but no build in Minecraft is. And what I'm not telling you to follow these steps exactly. Experiment with your builds. That's how all good builders build. They experiment with their builds. And you guys need to experiment. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good day and make good Minecraft builds.